Basically, the corn heads aren't a whole lot different, all the way from the 40s all the way up to the new 600 series. Still basically the same concept. When you're looking at them, make sure you're looking at your chains. Check your adjustment. You should have an 1/8 inch gap on the end of the pipe between the pipe and the washer. That way you know you got the right tension. Deck plates, make sure that they're all adjusted correct. And checking the rolls, just make sure you don't have any nicks or any big chunks out of them. On the 90 series heads, front idlers are greasable. Make sure, and a lot of times you can't tell that they're bad until you actually take a little pressure off and wiggle it. And if you look at it and think it's good, you might be able to take the tension off the chain and wiggle it, and it's shot.
One other good way to see that, this got a little different style washer on the top. If you look at the washer in the distance between the edge of the sprocket and the front and the back, if you've got a larger distance on the back, that bearing's out and it's just holding back farther. So it's a quick way to look at it and find out. Then you want to pull your tension off and double check.
For the 600 series heads, Deere's going more towards like similar to automotive numbering. Numbers aren't changing every year like they used to. They're running the same number multiple years, but there's lots of big changes in between those years. The 11 heads are completely different from the 12s. For 2012, they switched gear cases, which Josh will get into that a little bit more. But older corn heads, just like the 90 series and 40 series, we're going to pack that, pull your plug out, grease it from the bottom, make sure that you got grease in there. The new 2012 and newer heads, now they switched to an 80-90 gear loop. Those you just check with the dipstick right on top, a little bit easier to maintain.
600 series, dipstick, did they have corn head grease on some of them?
The later ones, the 12s and laters, have dipsticks in them. They're 80-90 gear oil with dipsticks.
But didn't the earlier ones have some dipsticks when they were first with corn heads?
Very first one.
So you gotta watch out on that, because if you open up a dipstick on, probably out on the years, Josh, but I'm almost positive they had dipsticks with corn heads.
It might have been an 09.
Yep, so there might be some heads, there are heads out there.
Yep, there are heads, you're correct.
So pay attention, guys, and read your operator's manual. Make sure if you purchase one, you pull a dipstick and there's corn head grease in it, it's corn head grease that goes in there, not 80-90, okay? So just heads up on that.
Yep. One thing that our Deere rep wanted us to go over with, just to clear up some issues. Right now they're having a pretty big product recall on their 2012 and early 2013 heads. They had some pretty serious issues with breaking the upper shafts on their gear cases. They had material buildup problems in there. They had enough material building up on the top that it would wear into the top of the divider points and actually melt a hole in that. They'd get enough material building up underneath of them that they'd put side pressure on that shaft and break it off, or they'd get material that would actually get up into the shaft and wear into the seal, taking the seal out and putting material down into the bushing. Bushing wears out, housing wears out, end up with another failure that way. The fix they're doing on the model year 12 heads is stripping the head down to everything. They're taking the gear case off, they're pulling that upper shaft out, replacing it with a new one. If the bushing has been wore out to the point that it's gotten into the housing, they're replacing the entire gearbox. Just throw it out, put a new one on. They're doing it also on the 13 heads. They're also changing the bushings on the top, but they're changing the seals also to make sure that the material can't get in there as easy. And this one's already been done. It's got a hex type sprocket on the top that the material will not collect on. It'll actually get pinched off by the chain and it'll cut it off so it can't stay building up on there. So should be fixing all the problems there. The other issues they had this last year were some back sheet cracking issues back on the corners where the head's driving. There's extra supports that they're bolting on most heads. 6-row heads are actually welding on some more brackets. So should have all the problems fixed. If you do have a 12 head or a 13 that you had delivered already, we will be in contact with you to get these back in and get them fixed. We're not going to let them out in the field to where we're going to have failures. We're not going to set you up for a disaster. So.
What's the rule of thumb for setting the deck plates?
As far as width, as close as you can get away with.
So what if you're too close? What happens?
Too close, your stocks aren't going to get in. You want to go just a little bit wider, enough to get clearance to get them in there, and you're less likely to lose grain from shelling that.
What's the width of that one right there? Half-inch?
Right there at half-inch, you're probably not going to get anything in there. Nothing you want anyways.
You never know.
These are hydraulic adjustable, so it's just hit
Might
the
be
button.
this year.
Hydraulic adjustable, so you can just change these with a button and a cap. So.
Is the width of your finger?
For a lot of them, yep, that'll be all right. Make sure when you do adjust them, if you don't have hydraulic adjustable, if they're a little bit tighter in the front than they are in the back, usually about 1/8 of an inch. Because if they're tighter in the back, you're gonna have stocks start hair painting and hanging up in there. You're gonna have issues getting the feed through. So just a little bit tighter in the front than the back, and usually things flow a little bit better.
Do you do something relative to the size of one of the Deere or something?
There's different theories on it. Some people pull stocks out, carry them up there. Some people look at the size of their ear. The best rule of thumb I've always been told is as tight as you can get away with. Thank you.
You know anything different on the rolls?
The rolls in 2012, they added the option of intermeshing knife roll. It's back like they were in the 90 series. And intermeshing went in like this. They do a much better job in damp conditions, smaller corn. The opposed ones that they came out with in 2009 when the 600s came out, 2008, came across like this. They didn't do a very good job. John Deere's just about ready to get rid of them, I believe. They came up with some improvements originally to fix them. They do okay in regular, easygoing conditions. They do a great job there. If you get into some tougher stuff where you're trying to get out early and things are pretty damp still, the intermeshing knife roll is probably going to be the way to go.
Even like in the morning when it's got a lot to do.
Yeah, a lot of dew. The intermeshing roll does a much better job.
They end up hairpinning. They don't pull through.
Right.
They come
They'll
up and they don't.
hairpin, they'll stick right in the back. There is some possibilities of that. Yeah, you can run your head slower with a knife roll, but they can get more aggressive, especially when it is damp in the morning when it's tough to get that ear to pop off also. So there is some good and bad between the two of them.
For additional information regarding pre-harvest checks on your corn head or our uptime service inspection programs, please contact your Frontier Ag and Turf Service Department today. Thank you for viewing our corn head support video. We hope you have a great day.